For the moment, let all who can relax and enjoy themselves in the knowledge of work well done. Here is the text of the Japanese reply to the Allied demands. With reference to the announcement of August the 10th regarding the acceptance of the provisions of the Potsdam Declaration and the reply of the governments of the United States, Great Britain, the Soviet Union and China, sent by Secretary of State Burns on the date of August the 11th, the Japanese government has the honor to communicate to the governments of the four powers as follows. 1. His Majesty the Emperor has issued an imperial rescript regarding Japan's acceptance of the provisions of the Potsdam Declaration. 2. His Majesty the Emperor is prepared to authorize and ensure the signature by his government and the Imperial General Headquarters of the necessary terms for carrying out the provisions of the Potsdam Declaration. 3. His Majesty is also prepared to issue his commands to all the military, naval and air authorities of Japan and all the forces under their control wherever located to cease active operations, to surrender arms, and to issue such other orders as may be required by the Supreme Commander of the Allied forces for the execution of the above-mentioned terms. Signed, Togo. Let us recall that on the 7th of December 1941, Japan, whose onslaught China had already resisted for over 4 years, fell upon the United States of America, who were then not at war, and upon ourselves, who were sore pressed in our death struggle with Germany and Italy. Taking full advantage of surprise and treachery, the Japanese forces quickly overran the territories of ourselves and our allies in the Far East. And at one time it appeared as though they might even invade the mainland of Australia and advance far into India. But the tide turned, first slowly, then with an ever-increasing speed and violence, as the mighty forces of the United States and of the British Commonwealth and Empire and of their allies, and finally of Russia, were brought to bear. Their resistance has now everywhere been broken. At this time, we should pay a tribute to the men from this country, from the dominions, from India and the colonies, to our fleets, armies and air forces that have fought so well in the arduous campaign against Japan. Our gratitude goes out to all our splendid allies, and above all to the United States, without whose prodigious efforts this war in the East would still have many years to run. We also think at this time especially of the prisoners in Japanese hands, of our friends in the dominions of Australia and New Zealand, in India, in Burma, and in those colonial territories upon whom the brunt of the Japanese attack fell. We rejoice that their sufferings will soon be at an end, and that these territories will soon be purged of the Japanese invader. Here at home, you have a short rest from the unceasing exertions which you have all borne without flinching or complaint for so many dark years. I have no doubt that throughout industry generally, the government's lead in the matter of victory holidays will be followed, and that tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday will everywhere be treated as days of holiday. There are some who must necessarily remain at work on these days to maintain essential services, and I'm sure they can be relied to carry on. When we return to work on Friday morning, we must turn again with energy to the great tasks which challenge us. But for the moment, let all who can relax and enjoy themselves in the knowledge of work well done. Peace has once again come to the world. Let us thank God for this great deliverance and his mercies. Long live the King!